Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to the Cronulla Sharks 2020 season review. We have done 8 NRL team reviews so far. We did from 16th to 9th. We're now up to the top 8, and we're starting off with the 8th place Cronulla Sharks, who had a pretty reasonable season. They made the semi-finals. They went out the first week, which was expected, but I think as in terms of our expectations, we all thought if the Sharks were to make the 8, they'd probably go out in the first round. So I think they probably got as far as what we all thought. But obviously, if you're a Cronulla Sharks player, or if you're in that organisation, your expectation is probably finish top 4 and hope to go all the way. But overall, I think they had a pretty good season. But before I get into the Sharks review, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. Ever since I did my State of Origin Game 3 review after Origin 3 on Wednesday night, it's received, I think, 3,300 and something views. The channel is absolutely on fire at the moment. It's going absolutely outstanding, and I just want to say thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel. I wouldn't be here without you guys, which is, I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to make it sound so cliche, but if I didn't get the support from all you guys, I would not be doing YouTube at the moment. So thanks to everyone who subscribed, and let's try and get to 1,000 subscribers. Appreciate the support. Let's get into it. The Cronulla Sharks 2020 season review. They finished in 8th position. Let's go through their season, have a look on some of their good games, some of their poor games. And in round 1, they were beaten against South Sydney, 22 points to 18. I think that was the game where I think they were down by a bit. I think they were down by was it 22-4 or something, 22-8 or something. And all they had to do was throw the ball backwards and they score and they win the game, but they call it a forward pass. They got beaten that one, bit unlucky. And in round 2, they were gutsy as they took on the Melbourne Storm and they got beaten that one, 12 points to 10. So to start the year, they're playing against two sides that are probably going to be in the top 4, and both teams were in the top 4. I think, hang on, both teams were in the top 4, were they? South were in the top 4. Well, two great sides they played early, and they went down in the tight one. So, 0-2, but I lost a couple of close ones. And then when they returned, they had the COVID lockdown, the 6-week period. They played the West Tigers, and they got beat 28-16. So the Sharks started the season 0-3. And I think everyone was saying, including myself, I'm pretty sure I said the Sharks are over. They're not going to make the 8. And then what do after that? They go up to Townsville and they defeat my team, the Cowboys, 26-16. And they finally get a win on the board. Then they have that big rivalry game against the Dragons, the local derby. They get beaten out one, 30 points to 16. So they're 1-4 to start the year. Now, they're not looking good. It's looking really bad for Cronulla. And then this is where their season sort of started to get going, starting to get some momentum back. They knocked off the Bulldogs 20 points to 18. I remember that game. It was a Sunday night game. I live streamed it. The Sharks held on in that one. Then they absolutely hammered Manly, one of their other rivals, 40 points to 22. And they destroyed the Gold Coast, 40 points to 10. So at this stage, I think the Sharks are 4-4. They're pretty much back level with what they needed to be. Then they got absolutely humiliated against Penrith, 56-24. I think that was the game where Charlie Stain scored 4 tries or 5 tries on debut, and the Sharks were disappointing in that one. Then they bounced back. They showed their consistency, didn't they? They get flogged one week and they flog another team the next. They flogged the Warriors 46 points to 10, which was a pretty good effort. Then they took on the Dragons in the big rivalry game, big local derby, and they held on in that one, 28 points to 24. So the Sharks are starting to look a little bit better, and they're just hanging around the top 8, or thereabouts. Then they beat the Broncos 36-26. I do remember this game very well because I won about $350 on this night. It was a Friday night game up at Suncorp, and I remember I was watching at the pub, and I think the Broncos are leading 26-24, and I think the Sharks scored 2 tries in the last 8 minutes to win the game. So from memory, yeah, it was 2. Hamlin Ueli scored to seal it. I do recall that. And then they took on the Eels, the Sharks did, and they got beaten that one 14-12. That was the Sunday afternoon game where it was just dreadful conditions. So they got beat in a tight one there. Then they knocked off the Gold Coast 30 points to 18. The game where Kevin Proctor had that bite incident. And then they got smashed against Penrith, 38 points to 12. Then they defeated my team, the Cowboys, 28 points to 12. And then the final 4 rounds of the final 4 rounds of the season, they lost to the Knights, 38-10. That was the game where we all thought they were gone. Then they beat the Warriors to pretty much seal their top 8 spot. They win that game 22 points to 14. And they get beat by the Roosters 34-18. And in the final round, they get beat by Canberra 38-28. And in the finals, they go out against Canberra in a competitive game 32 points to 20. Now looking at this season, you know, I think their most losses in a row was at the start. I think they lost 3 in a row at the start. So that was the worst part probably for their season. Their best part was probably when they won 3 in a row against Canterbury, Manly, and the Gold Coast. If looking at their season, I'd say their best win of the regular season, looking at it from what I remember with the Sharks, their best performance as a team overall, I think their win against the Warriors and the Gold Coast was pretty good. I think if you want to have a look at some of their most exciting wins, and they're pretty amazing, you know, tight wins, they're close game wins. Probably the game against Brisbane where they looked like they were gone. Probably the game against the Warriors. That was probably one of their best games of the season where they beat the Warriors. What else? The Bulldogs game was really scrappy. I do recall that. Their worst performance, well, I think the obvious one is the one where they got beat by Penrith, 56 points to 24. Conceding 56 points is just not good enough. Another game where I thought they were really poor was the one against the Knights where they got beat 38 points to 10. I'm just looking at their draw here. Other games they lost. In my opinion, their most disappointing game, as in terms of games that they need to win and what they should win. I think when they got beat by the Dragons in the local derby, 30 points to 16, the Sharks were really disappointing in that one. And I think that was one game where they were really terrible. But looking at their season, very inconsistent. You know, losing 3 in a row to start the year is not good. Then eventually winning 3 in a row. And then looking at it here, look, lost to Penrith, bounced back against the Warriors. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, lose finals. A very, very up and down season for Cronulla. But they did well enough to make the semi-finals. They made the finals because all of the other teams that missed the top 8, they weren't consistent either. And I think, you know, if the Sharks are going to be a good team going forward, they need to figure out what their culture is. Are they going to be a consistent side? Can they go on the road and win games that they need to win? You know, they just need to find that consistency. The other thing, obviously, COVID was a big impact on every club this year. The other thing, too, that did concern me about Cronulla this year is they didn't get to play at Shark Park or Southern Cross Group Stadium or Toyota Park, whatever you want to call the Sharks ground, because it's getting redeveloped. So they're using the Dragons home ground at the moment. So that was a big concern for mine going into this year for the Sharks, but they seem to be able to handle that pretty well. But, you know, having a look at some of their players this year, some of their good players, I thought Braden Henlin-Ueli was absolutely outstanding. I thought Ronaldo, Malatalo, and Sione Katoa were great. I thought Sean Johnson was terrific. I thought, who else we got here? I thought Jesse Raymond was a little bit quiet. I thought Aaron Woods even had a pretty good year. He actually surprised me a little bit this year, Aaron Woods. Thought he played well. I thought the back rower, Talakai, I thought he was absolutely magnificent this year for the Sharks. Some of their poor players, I thought Matt Moylan was poor. He had a lot of injuries again. I thought Jesse Ramian was quite quiet, which is unlike his standards. Who else is there here? Andrew Fafita. He's got a few dramas with his knee. He had a pretty poor season. I think Andrew Fafita needs to lose some weight first if he's going to be any good next year. if he plays on. And you know what? Blake Brayley's not a bad dummy half, but I thought he was very inconsistent this year as well. And another player that has had a lot of injuries, who I thought had a really good year, was Josh Dugan. I thought Josh Dugan had a great year for Cronulla. I thought he was really good, very strong, played very hard. I thought Josh Dugan had a pretty strong year. Overall, if I had to give that season a rating out of 10, I'd probably give the Sharks season a 5.5 out of 10. They made the semi-finals. I did go out the first week, which was disappointing, but I'd probably give that season a 5 out of 10. You know, it's a pass. They made the 8. But here's the thing. You probably saw it in the thumbnail. Is John Morris the right coach for the Sharks going forward? Now, here's the thing. When Shane Flanagan was sacked at the end of 2018, the Sharks going into the next year, 2019, they looked a bit all over the place. They made the finals in 2019. They did well to make the 8. I think they finished 7th that year. They lost to Manly the first week of the finals. And this year, John Morris' second year as head coach, they finish 8th and they go out the first week. So 7th in John Morris' first year, not bad. Make the finals, go out the first week. That sucks. The second year as head coach, make the 8 again, finish a position lower, and they finish 8th. And they go out the first week again. Now, it's good to make finals as a head coach. But the question is, can John Morris get the Sharks to a grand final? Is John Morris able to be a premiership winning coach, or a coach that can get the Sharks to that next level? Now, if you're asking me, is John Morris the right man for the Sharks for the future? I'm going to say no, because it's unproven. Sure, he got them to the finals, but to be fair, the Sharks have a pretty good roster. They sure they lack a few things in a few areas at the moment, but they've done well to make the finals the last 2 years, even though everyone wrote them off. Everyone thought they'd be around 12th, 13th, down where the Cowboys and the Bulldogs were and shit like that. Everyone thought the Sharks would do what the Cowboys did, make the 8 every year from 2011, 2017, and then just fall off. The Sharks have played finals every year since 2015, so they're on a roll. The Sharks have done well. Can the Sharks keep it up? That's the real question. Is John Morris the right man going forward for the Sharks? I'm going to say no. I think Shane Flanagan is the right man for the Sharks. I know his suspension runs out, I think, at the end of 2021. I think John Morris will definitely coach this 2021 for Cronulla. But the pressure is on. If the Sharks miss the 8 in 2021, Shane Flanagan's ban is finished. Will they bring him back? Only time will tell. He's the only coach that has won a grand final for Cronulla. So it'll be interesting what happens. But I'm predicting that John Morris will not get the Sharks anywhere near a grand final in the near future. So I think he will be out of a job as head coach in the near future. And I think they need a better coach. I like John Morris. He's done well for the Sharks. He's got them to the finals 2 years straight. I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but what I'm saying is I don't know if he can take him to that next level. But you never know. But as for the Sharks, you know, pretty good season for the Sharks. I thought they did really well to make the 8, and it's disappointing to go out first week for the second year in a row. But you know, what can you do? But what I will say is I'll give the Sharks season a 5 out of 10 this year. Their best player for mine was Sean Johnson. Their worst player for mine, I would say their worst player was Jesse Rayman. He was very quiet, very poor, didn't get much ball, and when he did, he didn't do a whole lot. So that's just my opinion on the Sharks this year. That's my Cronulla Sharks 2020 season review, guys. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support, guys. Thank you guys so much for 925 subscribers. Let's try and get to 1,000. Share the channel, guys. Share the channel around to your mates, your cousins, your sister, your mum, your dad, your uncle, your auntie, your nan, your pop, whatever. Send it to everyone. I'm out of here, guys. Thanks for watching. Tomorrow, I will be doing a season review on the Newcastle Knights because they finished 7th. I'll be doing them tomorrow. Anyway, guys, until then, stay safe. Have a fantastic Friday night. Have a great Saturday. And I will see you guys in the next one.